This is a 22-year-old male patient whom I saw the previous day. He's a Tourette's patient with all kinds of facial tics and head movement disorders and vocalizations that he cannot control. This patient makes these facial grimaces and head movements constantly, 24/7. He finds them physically exhausting.
We're going to record you through treatment so that we can keep a record of the progress.
In addition, he sweats profusely. Well, both. We need both of them to do it. So.
Do you get tired as this happens?
Yeah.
It wears you out, huh?
It wears me out a lot. I'm always tired.
What you see is tongue blades that he puts in his mouth. I have given these to him, and he varies them up and down, and as you notice, it stops his head movements and his vocal tics instantly.
Are you going to take pictures? He gives you a breather, huh? So you can relax a little.
This is the third day since I have seen the patient. We initially took impressions of his jaws, and we have had a lower mouthpiece made over the last 2 days to fit to his mouth today.
Have you been using that temporary thing since you left yesterday? And you can tell you're more relaxed, right?
Yeah, I'm starting to sweat again.
Yeah.
I'll start sweating.
It is a workout.
Yeah, it is.
With that temporary hand, it kept smashing down. You know, I can feel a little bit more.
Some of the height, yeah. You were
Well,
some of the height.
yeah, with something else smashed down real quick. But,
I made him an appliance,
but it's not as
and
bad as last
I
time.
am in
Yeah,
the
you see
laboratory adjusting it. You can hear the grinding noise in the background, and that is me working on his appliance. He is being interviewed by my dental assistant.
And the amazing thing is you get to rest,
Yeah,
you know, because it really is a
luckily.
workout. Yeah,
I'm not sweating.
yeah.
It's like you turn on the switch. When it comes out, he starts sweating because he's fighting so hard to try to keep it in.
The previous day, I gave him a bunch of tongue blades and varied the height of them up and down to alter his vertical dimension or the space between his upper and lower jaws. And I dismissed him with a handful of tongue blades, and he has taped them together and holds them in his mouth. Spread your lips just a little bit like that.
Hold on, let me zoom in. Yeah, you can.
Now we're putting in a splint here. The patient is closing down on soft acrylic that the assistant has mixed up and applied to the splint. He will close down until he reaches 11 millimeters on the ruler, which is the height of the tongue blades I previously measured that the patient arrived at by wearing them and adjusting them up and down the previous day and evening. This is the height at which he arrived at which his symptoms were totally gone. So this is going to be our starting point at which I will construct the splint, and from this point I will vary it up and down at future appointments. I have allowed the acrylic to harden up, and I have trimmed the occlusal surface down so it is flat. This is going to be essentially what is called a pivot appliance. It is going to have one-point contact on either side with a lingual cusp of the maxillary first molars occluding with a flat table of the lower appliance. We are going to rebalance the lower appliance so that he occludes simultaneously in time on each side and with simultaneous pressure on each side. Notice how his vocal tics stop instantaneously. And that's all there is for for today's appointment. It's that simple.
It was last seen 12 days ago, and he's back today for an adjustment.
Within 12 days, my life has extremely changed. I've had a couple of job interviews. I've been able to sleep a lot better. All of my tics are pretty much gone. I still have a little noises here and there, but it's not compared to what I had 12 days ago. I just feel totally different about myself. I've had more energy, able to get out in public. I'm able to walk into places and not feel that people are staring at me. It's pretty much a confidence booster for me. It's made me change a lot. Friends and family they can't believe it. So it's definitely done some help to me.
Okay, in 12 days this patient has worn the appliance down a little bit, and we're just going to resurface it a millimeter or so, maybe even less, and these noises that you hear and any slippage back to his original condition will be totally eliminated. 100% gone?
A little bit, there's still a little bit more, like I say, I think it's because of the nerve is forming back.
Okay, this is the end of the second appointment, 12 days after the first appointment. As you can see, all the vocal tics are gone. Everything is quieted down. And we're going to send this young man back to his mother and his girlfriends in this condition. This is the patient as he returned 12 days after the insertion of his lower appliance. Notice the absence of his presenting symptoms, the facial tics, the vocal tics, the head movements, etc.
Tell me what the difference has been in those 12 days.
Well, I've had a lot more energy. I'm able to get out places and just be able to enjoy the atmosphere and not have to worry about people, looking at me, and I've been able to go to sit down restaurants, and it's been amazing treatment for me. It's helped me 100%, and I'm very blessed to have been able to get y'all to build this appliance for me.
I know it sounds easy, but it's
Good. Now your symptoms were mainly
the vocals. It was mainly mouth vocals, and with a little bit of head jerking and body jerks. It's completely went away. I'm more rested, not having the body jerks, more energy. Don't know what to do in a day's time, so everything's just gone.
And last time Dad was here with you, and did you drive up or did
He did.
he did?
But after I got the appliance, I was able to drive and be able to actually relax and not get stressed out to make my Tourette's worse. I think I was about 5 hours of sleep that we had that night when we left, and usually stressful situations it would get worse. But with running through all the traffic, it was around 6 o'clock when we actually got to the highway. It was an 8-hour trip, so I drove the whole way, and there was no signs of it. There was a lot of traffic that night, and I was just calm as could be.
Good. Now you were telling me something that I never thought about, and that was about reading.
I was, the night I got the appliance in, I was actually able to read for about an hour, where I could actually understand what I was reading and not have to start back over numerous of times and just eventually get aggravated with it and just put it down. So I'm able to actually enjoy reading and not just having to hear everything on TVs. And that's a big change, because I never used to read because I didn't enjoy it. There was no way for me to learn anything from it. So.
Okay. And what about your friends? What did they say?
It was hard for friends. Family understood a lot better because they've seen the videos and stuff. But with friends, it was the day after I got back was pretty much a day of demonstration to let everybody know how it worked. And I had a lot of people that was just denying that this was a device that helped so much. But then it was basically a demonstration day. I had to take a whole day and show everybody, so they eventually came to realize that it was there to stay. So.
And how about you had those severe sweats?
Yeah, had a lot of sweating. When I get into quiet places, it makes me nervous, so I try to suppress it a little more. Eventually, it would just make me sweat, and eventually it just make it worse and have to come out anyways.
And
now there's no sweating, got dry clothes, ain't got to worry about finding a place to dry off.
What's your favorite shot?
So it's helped out a lot too. And with the loud vocals, sometimes I would be hoarse a lot because of yelling out. Had a lot of neck pains, back pains, and they're gone. I'm actually able to sleep for 15 minutes, go to sleep within 15 minutes compared to an hour and a half, or sometimes more. Just depends on how stressful that day was. But now it seems like I could have all the stress in the world and I'll still get to sleep within 15 minutes. So,
even better.
Yes, it's amazing.
And your dad was saying he doesn't have to wear hearing aids anymore.
Yeah, I've actually, with being quieter, his hearings came back, so that saved some money. Have to get some hearing aids before too long if we didn't get this corrected, so it's helped out with that.
And last one, how did Mom do?
At first, Mom was still didn't want to believe it. It took about a day to her to finally realize that it was gone. At first, I think it was more of a shock to her than just not believing. And it took about a day or so to set in to realize that it was actually gone.
After 14 years, it only took
one thing to cure it, and it's still, after 12 days, it's still hard to believe that I don't make any sound, or I'm able to get out to go places, not have people staring at me. So it's a blessing.
Good thing. All right.
This is a patient 1 month after delivery of the appliance. He was returned. The appliance had worn down a little bit, and some of his symptoms had started to creep back. But he'll describe in his own words now the improvement he has experienced in the past 30 days. So why don't you tell him what's happened that you've experienced?
Well, in the past 30 days, I've had all of my symptoms gone. I felt my jaw actually shift forward, my lower jaw shift forward, and that's when I noticed the symptoms started coming back a little bit. But I figured I'd have to get it built back up. But now, since I've got it adjusted, I don't have any feeling whatsoever.
And you've been offered a job in law enforcement?
Yes, I've been offered a job. I got to go Wednesday for a training for a law enforcement job, and hopefully that'll go well. I've never really got to experience any kind of job working with the public, so it'll be a lot different.
Okay. Tell us about people that knew you before, the experience other people, friends, neighbors, etc. have had.
All my friends now pretty much gotten used to not hearing me. Sometimes it'll be a little awkward for them because they're so used to it. But other than that, I've still got people that I haven't talked to in a while that will call me up. I had actually a phone call last night where a guy called me and was wanting to know how it was going because he heard about it.
Okay, well that's good. Okay, give me some blue. What I am going to do now is adjust the appliance 3 or 4 times using articulating paper to make sure it strikes equally on both the left and the right sides with simultaneously in time and with pressure. Notice, however, when I remove the appliance from the patient's mouth, the symptoms do not return as they did when I adjusted it on the delivery appointment. The symptoms, the vocal tics, the head movements are gone, and they stay gone while the appliance is out of the mouth. This symptom-free interval increased while the patient was wearing it and as his nervous system adapted to the appliance. Does that feel even now?
Yeah.
That's the total adjustment we're going to do.